there is awareness precedes choice. And a lot of us know the concept. Yeah, I know, I have a choice. I have a choice to do certain things. But we don't know what choices we have until we have awareness. And a lot of times, we don't know what we don't know. Great story about this. So in our work, we do what we call feedback exercises, where we call somebody we know who's close to us who has a more objective lens of how we show up than we might have. So I call one of my best friends, who is my partner in my nonprofit organization. We were roommates on and off for like 8 years. I said, hey T, I really want to do this exercise with you. She's like, I don't know, can you do it with somebody else? I was like, oh, is now not a good time? Like, should we do it some other? She was like, I just really don't feel comfortable with feedback. I was like, my best friend doesn't feel comfortable giving me objective feedback. Interesting. So I got curious about it. And then I called a few of my ex-boyfriends, which was fun. And I got similar feedback. I got that when I am faced with some feedback, I get defensive, I get righteous, and this was 10 plus years ago. And I called Tennille back up after my 3 interviews with my exes, and I was like, I get why you didn't want to do this. I now have the information to make a choice. And I'm sorry that I was in the space for you to be honest with me. And I'm gonna go to work at that. Now, I couldn't have made that choice if I didn't know. Right? Because how many of you know somebody in your life that you can see something that they don't see, but you haven't told them yet? Yeah.
Raise your hand high. All of you guys got somebody.
You're like, always does this thing. And this leads us to one of our first primary beliefs. You cannot intervene in a world that you cannot see. I am a world, you are a world. I can't intervene. I don't even have choice if I don't have information. If I don't have awareness, if I can't see what's happening. So this tool is really about falling in love with information about us, becoming a scientist, objectively looking back and going, oh, that's interesting. Look what I just did there. They asked me to hug someone and I stood there and I was like, nope, nope, nope. And instead of making that wrong, because it's not right or wrong, it's just interesting. Why? Maybe I'm bringing that to my relationship. Maybe I'm bringing that to my relationship with my employees or my customers. Interesting. So we have become scientists of our worlds, and we're inviting you to do the same. And utilizing, for any of you who picked up our book, which is in the bookstore, we actually have one of our feedback interviews in there. And a lot of our business clients that we coach do this with their entire staff. And they get feedback from all of their employees. And it is a game changer.
Yep. A part of that, and Alexi alluded to it, is this understanding that how you do anything is how you do everything. I'm going to say that again because it really gets to land. How you do anything is how you do everything. And so if I'm avoiding intimacy in, let's say, some random exercise in a theater or even at work, I'm probably doing that same thing with my kids, with my wife, my husband, or whatever the case may be, down to the smallest, most minute thing. And this really hit home for me. In our workshop, we teach that there are 4 aspects of being human. And the second one is we are social and historical beings, which means we're born into beliefs and interpretations. You guys with this so far? Born into beliefs and interpretations. Now, I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood and never wanted for anything. However, my mother grew up in Watts, California, during a time where there was like 6 of them in a 2-bedroom house, and there were rats and roaches, and sometimes they didn't eat, and you guys know the story. Now, my mother hustles her face off, becomes a CPA accountant, does the damn thing, meets my dad, this charismatic, interesting, sort of weird dude, and they move to Harbor City, California, from Compton, right? So I was born in Compton, raised in Harbor City. And my mother didn't understand this concept. And so just because she had moved locations, catch it, just because she had moved locations or jobs or even partners didn't mean that the consciousness that she was bringing wasn't still locked in. You guys following so far? So, Alexi and I, Alexi, this is the love of my life. I called her in. When I met her, and she'll tell you this, the moment I met her, I was sitting here. I was on a blind date, she was sitting here. And Alexi was sitting 2 seats down, and I saw her, and I said, that's my wife. Like, legit. I didn't even hear what the speakers were saying, I was out. Like, the rest of the thing, I was like, how am I gonna talk to my wife? This is the person I'm gonna marry. Like, everything became about that, right?
And he was super awkward.
I was super, at the end, I was like, oh, well, maybe someday you would love to get coffee. And she's like,
True story.
I'm cool everywhere else, and there I was like, ah! So, we get together, and how many of you guys are in a relationship of some sort? Like, right? Okay, 90% of the room. How many of you guys, put your hand back up, if you're in a relationship with someone you love, someone you want to be with, and some of their idiosyncrasies trigger you? Put your hand back up. Okay, 90% of the room. Okay, perfect. Just making sure I'm in the right room.
Yeah, we're all human.
Okay. So, we get together. This is love of my life. I'm like, yo, I got my girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in. And there's all these little things that start to pop up. Now remember, in our work, we teach that we are social and historical beings, which means we're born into beliefs and interpretations, and not all of them we are consciously aware of, which is why you can't intervene in a world you can't see. Let it land. Okay, so I get really hyped up within myself. So we are in relationship, and like every night, because I didn't used to do this, I was such a dude. She got me brushing my teeth at the end of the night, right? This is some random thing that dudes don't do all the time. You're just like, you know? And so we brush our teeth at the end of the night. Fellas, tell the truth. Not all of you guys brush your teeth at the end of the night. So at the end of the night, we'd go to brush our teeth, and she would take the toothpaste bottle and squeeze a lot of toothpaste on the thing.
I just did what the commercials did, which is fill the entire toothbrush
Like,
with a nice.
half the bottle would be gone in a week. And so for me, like, day after day, I was getting so triggered. Because internally, I was like, why is she using so much? And then we would take showers together, and she'd like use the shampoo, and she'd like squeeze the whole bottle. Like, it's $18 every bottle, bro. What are we doing here, right? And so I'm getting super triggered by this, and I'm gonna land the plane and get to the point. The point for me was I didn't realize that I was punishing the person I loved based on a unconscious belief that she was overusing the toothpaste. Is that landing for you guys? And I swear to God, there are places in your life right now, at least 100, where you're doing that very thing. Where you're looking at someone and going, oh, why would you do that? This is stupid. Like, internally, you're not saying something about it, but it's triggering you to death, right? And raise your hand if you get what I'm saying here, right? So, I eventually came to her about it and, like, got under it. I'm like, this is my mom's scarcity, right? We're millionaires. And I'm looking at how she's squeezing the freaking bottle of toothpaste. But my mom's scarcity was transferred. A lot of the stuff you guys are dealing with right now is not all of yours.
Yeah.
Like,
it's your moms, it's your dads, it's your grandparents, it's your brothers, sisters, it's the society and culture you grew up in, it's the politics, your family practice. It's all a reflection of, and we are just a byproduct of that until we have awareness. Yes. All right, so we have a couple of questions. We want you guys to either snap photos of them or write them down quickly, and do them before you get home, okay? Because we're going to roll through this. So the questions we want you to sit in and ask yourself is, what are you pretending not to know? Now, this question can unpack a lot for you. What are you pretending not to know? Because in our work, we believe we already know everything we need. Sometimes we just need those little reminders and a shake to lead and walk there. So what are you pretending not to know? How does that affect what matters most to you? What do you say matters? How is that affecting what you say matters? And what choice do you get to make based on that information? Okay?
Boom. Everybody put your twos up. Twos in the air. We're going to do it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hi-ya! Kick-ass tool number 2 is get radically responsible. Now we heard this. We all hear this. Responsibility, right? But the reality is that most of us internalize that as blame. And we say, and have the experience that everything you're experiencing in your life right now, you created, allowed, or perpetuated.
Yeah.
That's an ing or an ed, depending on what is happening. And this could be a really tough pill to swallow. Because a lot of you want to be victims to things. A lot of us want, how many of you guys have felt really righteous about something like, you know what, my dad screwed me over, and that's it. Like, that's who he is, and this is who I am. But the reality is that we're perpetuating that thing. Or ladies, single ladies, how many of you guys went on a date with a guy and saw at least 5 red flags? Raise your hand. Okay. Now, raise your hand again if after seeing those red flags you still went on another date. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. There you go. It's the same one, but the hands are small. This is the thing. We have an employee who will soon not be an employee. We've seen it.
We've seen it.
Like week one of working with us, they're like, that doesn't work. This doesn't work for anything we do here. And here we are, months later, and now that person's going to be fired, of course. But the point being is like, how dare I sit in victim consciousness? And there's a big difference between being a victim and holding victim consciousness. You guys following? A lot of us know people who are still talking about that football game they lost in 1987. That they would have been the guy, right? Or the girl. Or, you know, if I wouldn't have got pregnant with so-and-so, then I would be X, Y, and Z. And I'm sorry if I offend you guys. I'm really, like, not PC. But that's what makes our relationship work. Because, you know, she's got my back.
I'm very PC.
Yeah, not very.
Slightly more PC than you.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll take it. But yeah, essentially what we're saying here is that the minute we hold on to how we think life should be, we attach to an idea of how it should be, we automatically create all of our suffering. Automatically. So for instance, with this employee that he's speaking of, we had an idea of how it should be, which means we had a reference point for something greater. Now, this is a big takeaway. If you have a complaint for something, that means you have a reference point for how it can be better. And you have the ability to respond to change it. And meanwhile, we sat, even having all the tools, we sat in our humanness going, oh, I can't believe she did that again. Can't believe, how many of you guys have done that? You know you have somebody that works for you. And in our case, we just had a baby, we're like, man, we don't want to onboard somebody new, it's gonna take too long. We don't want to go through that whole process. We had all of our excuses, but we had a reference point for something greater. So we really want you to get that with this tool of radical responsibility, it's about going, I see something that's not working for me. How am I creating it? How am I a part of this? How am I allowing it for whatever reason I have? How am I perpetuating it by continuing the story on and on and on? And what can I choose to do about it? What do I choose? Because either I'm going to stop complaining and stop, suffering under the hand of this huge problem, or I'm going to be the change maker. I'm going to create a new possibility. So I want you to ask yourself, what's one area of your life that you're currently unsatisfied with? Something that feels off, something that doesn't feel where it should be, where you want it to be. How are you creating, allowing, or perpetuating this circumstance to be how it is? Okay? All right, 3's up. We're going to ninja tool, kick this. Kick-ass tool number 3 is take aligned action. Now we say aligned because no action is created equal, right? How many of you guys have made an awesome commitment? Like, I'm going to change my business this year. I'm going to do that. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to meet that person. And then you reorganize your closet, or something that just needs reorganizing, or color coding, or shifting something that keeps you busy. How many of you guys have done that? Yeah. I know, it's a favorite thing to do, and we think we're being productive, but we're just busying ourselves. So aligned action means taking the big actions that are going to move us closer. And a big thing that we believe is the moment you make a firm commitment, life is going to test that commitment. Life is going to test you and say, really? You want to lose weight this year? Cute. Cute. Here's some donuts. Here's some pizza. Okay, right? How many of you guys notice that? Right? New Year's resolutions have already been tested 1,000 times. Right? How many of you, I'd love to know like one New Year's resolution that hasn't been actualized yet from one of you. Who wants to be brave and share? Yes. Go on. A keto diet. Perfect. Okay. What's the reason? What's under that? To lose weight.
Did you say the baby weight? Oh,
how old's the baby? 21 months? Awesome. And tell me your name? Stephanie. All right, so Stephanie wants to go on a keto diet to lose the baby weight. All right, so we talking about the vision as the couch. Right? The comfort zone couch. We're talking about the vision. Maybe Netflix is on. We're watching. How many of you guys have seen Sex Education, the new series on Netflix? So good, right? So good. We're watching Sex Education on Netflix. We're chilling, feet up, and we're talking about the keto diet because we want to lose weight. Awesome. Nothing wrong with that. The keto diet, we want to lose weight, is over there. It's the castle. It's the grand thing that we want to get to. So substitute whatever that is for you, whether it's losing the weight, making more money, onboarding new teams, whatever, expanding your business, whatever that is for you, pick your castle right now. Have it in your head, write it down. Okay? So that's your castle, Stephanie. Now, at some point, usually around December 31st, we go, you know, I'm so sick of just talking about this thing. This year's going to be the year. Right? How many of you guys have said that? This year is going to be the year that I'm going to do something about it. So we get up off the couch, and we make the commitment. That's my castle. This year's the year. And the minute you make that commitment, life goes, let's see. Let's see. Let's see how committed you are to it. And that's when you enter what we call the testing grounds, where your commitment gets tested. And we liken this to like a dark, creepy forest where there's all these unknowns on every corner. And you're constantly getting hits. Trial after trial after trial. You're walking through the testing ground, having no idea what's coming next. And the thing is, most people, and Stephanie, tell me if this is you, have you tried the keto diet yet? Not yet, okay. So we're not in the testing ground phase yet. Okay, so let's pretend we are, okay? Let's pretend we've taken a step in. We're in. Keto diet is mostly protein, no carbs, correct? Okay. So we're like, all right, great. I'm gonna go grocery shopping. 1 week, we're good. We're walking through the testing house. We're like, I got this. Yeah, 1 week is good. Then all of a sudden, your kid's birthday party. Oh, but it's cake and it's their first birthday. And, right? I'll just have a little bit. Hit number 1. Right? And we keep going. Hit number 2. Oh, at work, someone brought in donuts. Awesome. Okay, hit number 2. We keep going. Hit number 3. Hit number 4. Most people, after 3 or 4 hits, they're out. Like, you know what? I can't. Next year.
2020. 2020.
I'm gonna go back to my couch, put on Netflix, and chill for a little bit. This is not gonna work. Some of us keep going. Hit. We keep going. I'm committed. And then we get right here. We see our castle. There's our castle. We lost the baby weight. It looks so good, right? I can see it. But what's between me and the castle? Scream it out. A moat. Yes. And this moat happens to have like sharks in it and alligators and all these crazy things, and there's no way to traverse it. There's no bridge. But the castle's right there. I can see it. I can smell it. Ah, it's so good. What do most people do when they get here? They what? They go back. Oh, I guess it wasn't meant for me. I did all the things. But it wasn't meant for me. If it was, there would have been a dropped bridge. Right? There would have been a bridge. There would have been an invitation or a prince waiting for me with a white horse to jump over the moat and take me to the castle. So most people, right at the point where it matters the most and their commitment is going to be tested the hardest, give up and go walking all the way back to the couch and sit there and say, well, it wasn't me because I did all the things. It was the circumstances. Let that land, because we've all done that somewhere. We've all done it somewhere. But the people who are truly committed go, okay, my castle's here. I got some trees. That tree looks like I could kind of push it down. I'm going to take this tree, push it down, and build a bridge, and walk across, and get into my castle. Now the thing is, once we're in the castle, we have the dream. We've lost the weight, right? We've lost the weight. Oh my gosh, yes. We get in there, we're like, this is amazing. Oh my God, I feel so good. I lost the baby weight. I scaled my business. I've got 4 locations now. Yes, killing it. And then we find the awesome couch in that castle. Put our feet up. Find her remote. Let's see what's wrong. And that becomes our new couch. Becomes our new comfort zone. So check in for a moment. How many of you are sitting on a couch inside a castle that was once your dream? Currently, right now.
Raise your hand high. Yep.
This is a big thing to get, and we really want to land this for you guys. Because once you get this, you get the kind of cosmic joke of life. You're always going to want another castle. Always. Human beings, like all of nature, our job genetically, it's encoded in us, is to grow towards the sun, to actualize our fullest potential. So what does that mean? We're going to want more castles. We're going to get into one castle, we'll enjoy it for maybe like 3 weeks, novelty wears off, Netflix and chill, right? Until we get bored and sick of it, and we go, time for a new castle. And we go out and do that whole process again. So what's the point of it?
The point is to enjoy the journey. Now, of course, we've seen this on postcards and all kind of stuff. But like really allow yourself to understand that there is no out. Desire is built into the car, aka the human. So I'm always going to be desiring something else. And so, am I willing to actually have fun, actually enjoy, even when it doesn't feel good? How many of you guys know that when something doesn't feel good, you do your damnedest to try to get out of that thing as fast as possible? Right? We go into our psychological, I need to eat him anyway, or you know what? Right? Justify, back. Right? Because we've become a society that's always trying to get high on good. One more hit of good. This is who we've become. But the reality is, and those of you who said you had kids, you know, our child literally will cry, giggle, and poop within 13 seconds. It's like bang, 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 bang. He's just present. He's present to the journey. Time goes away for us as well when we get present with him. Because he's no longer trying to get to this thing. Now, of course, we evolve when we grow as humans, and so we want things. But when we it's called object referral and self-referral. When we are attached to our status, money, relationships, anything, when we think that these things make us, we're screwed. When we are attached to and realize and really let it land that we are all a unique emanation of the Most High, that every single one of us is a beautiful snowflake, and on purpose with many purposes. When we let that land in our bodies, then the whole thing becomes this beautiful journey, this beautiful dance where we're floating through, and sometimes it's asking for salsa, and sometimes it's asking for hip hop. Whatever it is, I'm going to be with it. That's when the game changes. And so we have friends who have more millions than us who are definitely not as happy as us. We know people, we've all heard it, we've seen the Robin Williams, we've seen the people, the Kate Spades, the Anthony Bourdains, who decided that the money wasn't enough, and yet all of us chase it like an addiction. But the reality is, whatever you want to call it, God, Spirit, Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, Allah, whatever that is, it is moving and breathing. Always, in all ways. And when we just say yes to that thing, the rest of it becomes cake. Literally just the cherry on top. And maybe it's vegan. Maybe it's something else. Whatever the point, you get it. Does that land? We all here? Yeah? Beautiful.
Yeah, I want to just add something else to this point. Speaking on what Seth spoke to earlier, expanding the identity to have expanding results. This is what the testing ground is all about. And his company has done research on this, and we will back that research with our clients from the last 10 years.
Sure.
The testing ground is where you expand your identity. It's where you become the person that can hold the castle. It's why lottery winners don't keep their millions, because they never had to go through that. They never had to earn it. So most of us are trying to avoid the part where we become the person that can sustain what we say we want, and that's the exact part that's going to build us and keep expanding the identity. So what we do is we move towards that. We welcome that. We find ways to bring more of that into our world. If we don't have it, we're like, man, we become really complacent. How do we get more of that? Because that's what makes us. It's what builds us, expands us.
Here in Jamaica?
What's that?
Jamaica.
Yeah. So we actually were just in one of these. Up until January 3rd, we were pregnant. And we spent New Year's Eve in Jamaica with some friends, celebrating my friend's 40th birthday, believing that we were 9 weeks pregnant the whole time. The very last day of the trip on the plane back, I began to miscarry. And it was one of those moments where I could have gone, oh, the castle's falling apart, the dream's not working. I'm in the testing ground and I'm getting hit and I don't like it. Let me go back. But that moment as a couple really defined our next step. It defined our next castle. And it allowed us to go, okay, what's here for us? How is this trying to shape us and carve us and expand us into a deeper space for us to actually welcome in a second child? And it literally took our relationship to a much deeper level than we've ever experienced it, like that. I think that would have taken us a couple years to get to otherwise. But that challenge, it exponentially expands how quickly you can grow when we're in challenge, when we're getting stretched as a human. So welcome that and change your relationship with that, because that action, and again, coming back to the step, take aligned action. Most of us are procrastinating because we're afraid of the testing grounds. Most of us are not taking any action because this part scares the crap out of us. And I get it, that was me for so long, that was P for so long. But now we move towards it and say, action, 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 let's go, let's expand, let's see what's here. And sometimes, in the middle of the testing grounds, you recognize that that castle was never yours in the first place. You find a new one on the journey. So it's important to be in the game, as we say. So ask yourself, what is one action, one aligned action you can take before you get home and step through your doorway that's going to move you closer to your current castle, or the most important castle you have in your life right now. And remember, not all action is created equal. So pick an action that you know scares you a little bit, or you've been putting off for a while. Maybe it's that email you need to respond to. If you're anything like me, it's like, oh, that email. Maybe it's that email. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it is, moving to a new city. Whatever that is for you, make a decision before you get in that door. Okay.
Beautiful. 2 more. Everybody put your 4s up. When I count to 3, we're going to say, hi, cha, really loud, okay? 1, 2, I'm watching you. 3, hi, cha! You didn't do it. It's all good. I love you. That's tool number 4. Is to own who you are. Now, I'm going to start by saying, So the seed contains the blueprint for the entire tree. The difference between a seed that becomes a tree that grows 100 feet in the air, provides food and shade and shelter for hundreds and hundreds of people, and a tree that only grows, let's say, 5, 10, 20 feet in the air, is what? Somebody want to say it? What else?
I heard it over here.
Boom, environment. So what we're talking about here is the soil. The condition of the soil determines the productivity of the seed. The condition of the soil determines the productivity of the seed. The seed contains the entire blueprint. Each and every one of you has medicine on your heart that only you can give. Literally, you, my friend, what is your name?
It's John.
John, right? John's a well-to-do, good-looking white dude, right? If John came up here and said the same things I said, there are some of you that can only hear John. Does that resonate? You guys understand what I'm saying? There is medicine on John's heart that only he can give. 7.7 billion people, and yet we've come into each other's space. How? Why? Miracle happening in this now moment. And so, one tree, way in the sky, because the soil, it's had time to germinate. Somebody said time. Had time to germinate. It's been watered. It's been taken care of. What we say is the context determines the content. Each and every one of us is a context, right? Right now, I'm a context. Some of you may say, he's really fired up, right? Or, I don't like when people preach at me like that. We've had people reach out. Both of us have like pretty big followings on social media, and recently there was a group of people, and they were like, you know, Preston, I'm so glad I started following you again, you know? Because initially I just felt like you were just yelling at me through the screen, and I couldn't do it. But, you know, we all have different contexts. I grew up watching a show called Friends. How many of you guys watch that show? Right? So there's a dude on there, the character's name was Joey. You guys remember Joey, right? What did he used to say?
How you doing?
How you doing? Right? Now, how many times today do you think you've said how you doing? At least 20, right? But what makes Joey's how you doing different than how you doing? It's the context. Right? How many of you guys have had an argument with somebody you love? Let's say a girlfriend or boyfriend or wife, right? The content is the stuff we're saying back and forth, but the context, how many of you guys know for a fact that you've been in a fight with your significant other, and they said, all I said was, and then finished that sentence, and you were like, no, you said, screw me, under what you said, right? Like, you guys know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't just say, pass the milk, you were like, pass the milk, right? Like, that has a whole different context. Right? And so the context, when we bring a certain context, it has to produce a certain content. And so for each and every one of you, we can get so caught up in all the numbers and the P&Ls and all of that stuff in business. But the reality is like, who are you being? And are you willing to allow that thing to reveal itself? Because it's not even about becoming. It's about revealing. Each and every one of us has legit beautiful stuff on our heart. Medicine that's calling us forward. And yet so many of us are trying to do what everybody else is. How many of you guys know, and this is be brave here, how many of you guys are watching someone else's salon, maybe in your city, that you look at that person or whatever and you go, they're not as good as us. Like, just raise your hand. Like, for real, let's be honest, okay? But they're doing really good, right? Because it's not about how good they are, or how pretty your website is, or how all that stuff is. It's about the context. When people walk through those doors, do they feel welcomed and loved and taken care of? Or do they feel like another number? We talk at business conferences and things all the time, and we tell them, the thing that changes the game is you stop looking at as people, as dollar signs, and see them as family. When you start talking to family the same way you would talk to your grandmother, each customer, you know how you are with your grandmother. Granny, what you doing? You know, like that thing. You start talking to customers like that and being like that, everything will change.
Yeah, and he brings up a really great point about plants. Like, we love plants. We have basically a rainforest in our house.
Yeah.
And you know how there's different plants require different things? So ferns require less light and a certain amount of water, whereas we have these plants that like need to be in the sun all the time, basking and getting tons of water. We're each our own version of a plant. We each have a specific set of instructions, context, that works for us in order to thrive and grow to our highest potential. And the problem is, the fern is sitting over here and going, I want to be the sun plant. I want to be the one that's basking all day. So then the fern goes out in the sun and goes, and dies. But how many of you guys have done this? I know I've done this for myself, where I've been in comparison of somebody in my industry, thinking, they're successful. What they're doing must be working. Success leaves clues. We hear that all the time. And then we don't necessarily model, but we mimic. And we start to try and do it how they're doing it. And then life can't find us because we're not aligned with who we be. And I found that when I took the mask off of trying to play everybody else's game, life was like, oh, there you are. We've been waiting for you, and we have this whole slew of gifts and opportunities that are perfectly suited for you.
Yes.
But you haven't been available because I couldn't see you. You look like so-and-so, and this person, and that person, and your website's like this. Versus, who are you? And it's a question that's always evolving, but you have to be willing to listen to it and answer it authentically. We do what we do, how we do it, in a very unique way. And we know we're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, we win because we got to be ourselves.
Boom.
And really sitting this for you, thank you. Sitting this for you because this is a big deal. Like when we first started in this industry, we were up against the giants. Like really, people were pegging us and comparing us to the Jack Canfields and Michael Beckwiths and all people that we know and we've been mentored by, who are amazing. And so we tried to fit in and do it how they did it and follow suit. And we recognized that that wasn't working for us. It felt like we were trudging through the mud all the time. It wasn't fun. Quite frankly, it wasn't fun because it wasn't our soul signature.
Yes.
And now we do what we do, how we do it, in our crazy way that we do it, and it works for us. And there is something that each of you are not yet playing with that is your medicine. It is the exact thing that will open up and unlock everything for you. So we want you to really sit in this question. If you knew you couldn't fail or you wouldn't be judged, and that's the big thing, if you knew you wouldn't be judged, what would you do and who would you be? Maybe you would change something about your business model or how you do business, or maybe you would change how you be with people. Really let this one unpack for you, because if you can do this one, it's like you win the game, because you got to be you. And truthfully, the disease of today is that we're all trying to be someone else because we think they've got it answered and they've got it nailed, and they don't. We don't see behind the curtain quite often, and we just see what's projected to us. And we really get to just go, you know what? I'm going to stay in my own lane, because it's mine, and it was made for me to thrive, so I'm going to unpack that. Kick-ass tool number 5. 5's up. This is our last one.
Last one.
I want all the energy in the world to come into Hacha. Okay, you can do what he's doing. You can pelvic thrust if you feel it. Is what it's called. Turn on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hacha! Yes, that was good. All right, have a damn good time. If you haven't noticed by now, we like to play, we like to have fun. Why? Because what's the point if we're not? What is the point if we're not having fun, if we're not enjoying this thing called life? What is the point? And we think that if you're not present to it, if you're not in pleasure and joy and the magic of all these little moments, you're missing it. You're missing it. And we know for ourselves, we were so focused on the castles, the castle. We were going from castle to castle to castle, just trying to get out of the testing grounds as fast as we could. Okay, castle. Okay, castle. Yep, castle. Because we thought the castle was it. We thought once we had the money, that would be it. We thought once our business was at a certain level, that would be it. We thought once we had a certain stature or following on social media, that would be it. And then we got the thing, and it wasn't it, and we kept going. Right? How many of you guys have experienced that? You got the thing, it's not it, keep going. Right? And we realized, really recently actually, this really landed for us recently after having our son, is that all of life is actually in the in-between. 99.9% of life happens in between the couch and the castle. And we forget, thinking it's the big moments. It's the castle, it's when we achieve the thing, we write the book, we have 10 salons, our $250,000 business, whatever it is. But the truth is, life is the space in between. And if we're not finding the magic and creating and bringing novelty to these things that have become habituated, then that's our bad. That's our fault if we can't find the fun in it. How many of you know when you first stepped into your current position, whatever it might be, whether it's owner or frontline person, whatever it might be, you were like, yes. There was the excitement, the adventure of the new position. Oh my God, this is great, it's new, it's amazing. 3 weeks later, okay, yeah, it's still good. 3 months later, 3 years later, I cannot take this anymore. How many of you guys know you've done that before? Honest hands, honest hands. You're with me on that because I've totally done that. So it's not the position that's changed, it's our position on the position that's changed. And it's our job to bring the fun with us, to bring the novelty with us, to bring the pleasure into each moment and weave it in. We have clients that come to us all the time for coaching. I hate my job, I want to leave, I want to do this thing that my heart is calling me to do. And we're like, great. You need to spend at least 30 to 90 days in your current position, having the most fun you've ever had, bringing all of yourself, 1,000% of yourself to the work. Until you do that, you'll never be able to create it over here. Yeah. Ever. So you really want to sit in how can you bring that newness, that aliveness. Maybe it's with your customers, actually listening to them. I had a girl, she was like a substitute, but I wasn't crazy about doing my hair, because you know when you find your person, it's your person. Right? I had a substitute, my person wasn't there. She's doing my hair, she's asking me questions, just glazed over. She wasn't even listening to my response, so I started playing with it. She asked me a question, and I said something totally unrelated about a horse, and she was like, oh, that's really cool. I was like, no idea what I just said. So maybe it's in those tiny little moments where you just turn on your listening. Open your heart a little bit more. Maybe it's checking in with your employees or coworkers and like actually like, hey, no, really though, how are you doing?
Yes.
Like, seriously, I know it's the holidays and it's crazy and we're all nuts, but like, how are you doing? What's going on with your family? I know your dad passed last year, like, how are you being with that? Like, just checking in and being present with life. That's where the magic happens.
Yes, indeed. I think it was it 2015? Or, no, it was 2015 that we as a couple, and I took it on as my one thing that I was going to focus on, was play and joy. Because I had gotten way too serious. And so I scheduled it into my actual calendar. So every single day, literally, and we got into fights about this at points, and she's like, you should be working right now. I like, have my skateboard.
We're building a program right now. I was like, I'm gonna go skateboard.
Yeah, every day, I made it a point to do something for me that was fun, that filled my cup. And when you do that, when you fill your cup, you can give from the overflow. Right? What's in my cup is mine. What flows out is yours. And that will change everything. Like, we don't need these gigantic fireworks. I think a lot of us forget the simple things. All of us are big-ass adult kids that are balding and things are falling and all of that stuff.
Gravity is taking over.
Boobs aren't as perky and all of the stuff that happens for us. But the reality is there is a child inside of there chomping at the bit, just wanting to come out and play. And so we're going to do that right now. Everybody turn to one person you don't know and make the silliest face you've ever come up with while making a sound. Like this. Do it! Do it! Don't talk! Do it! Don't overthink it! The green shirt. Turn back to her and do it. There you go. Now high five that same person. Up top. Boom. Joy, curiosity, wonder, this is available at all times. Literally, I'm never bored. Never bored, because there's always something to be curious about. When you add that and you fill your cup and your context becomes one of joy, passion, creativity. It literally flows off of you because you don't know, like, hear this, guys, hear this, real talk, and I think you can kind of get it. The other speakers were freaking phenomenal. Everywhere we go, we do this. Not this talk, but because, and this is the point, this isn't a talk. Like, we didn't have a talk ready. We live this stuff. And you can usually tell the difference between, and I'm not talking about them, but just like people on, how many of you guys see people on social media and you're like, bullshit? Like you see, like, you're like, everything's great, follow me. Like, you're like, nah, that's the show, right? Like, when you live it, when it's every day, you don't have to prepare because it's already there. It's already there. And like, legit, if you take nothing else, if you just focus on joy and play, it'll literally lift, right? We know, a rising tide lifts all boats. You lift the boat of joy within oneself, and it lifts all the other boats. Your employees, your family, your kids, everybody wants to be around that. Where'd my mom go? Who's this fantastic, curious human being that's no longer so worried about the bills or what's going to happen 2 years from now? Who's this person that cares about me and not just my grades? Who's this person? Wow, I love her. Like, let that be the thing that your kids, your families, your customers, everybody says about you. Because when you unlock that, you unlock the whole damn thing.
Yeah. Secret sauce. So the final question I want you to sit in is, how can you bring more novelty, more pleasure into your everyday? And this goes back to the content conversation, the context content. Think about somebody you know who's filled with joy, who's filled with pleasure, who just walks in floating on a cloud. They're always looking for the silver lining. You want to be around that person versus the person that's always complaining, always down, always finding something wrong, always so serious, always buckled down. We're drawn towards that because we are that.
Yes.
There's a part of ourselves that is yearning to be unleashed, to be given permission to play. If you look at kids, all of you who raised your hands who have kids, you know this. Kids, all they want to do is play. That's how they learn, that's how they grow. And now there's science to back this. Play is where we do the most expansion in our learning. It's where we make the most neural connections. It's where we actually expand our identity and who we be as a human. So if you're not playing, you've missed the point. And we want to really lock and load this by saying, you've already won, you're already there, there's nothing you need to fix. Literally, if you have breath in your body, a beat in your heart, you've won the game. And now the question is, what do you choose to do with that? We love you guys.